I just finished a 2 hour walk and my legs are killing me. But this view was definitely worth it. Now, I love walking, so that wasn't too bad. Sometimes it's the highlight of my day. It's good for exercise, it helps us relax, we can generate ideas, we can reflect and observe. The benefits are literally endless. And most walks, I feel pretty good afterwards. But this time, I realized something pretty serious. So, over the past few months, I haven't really been present. I'm always doing something, but I'm never really there. My mind has been preoccupied with all sorts of thoughts. Sometimes they're productive, and they move me forward in some way. But majority of the time, I noticed that I was thinking about either something in the past or about something in the future. So after the walk, I sat down and I gave myself a moment. And I came to the horrifying conclusion that I've wasted so much of my time thinking about stuff that just doesn't matter at all. But because of the time that I allowed myself to sit down and reflect, I realized something so powerful, I just had to make a video about it and share it. I realized something that I know I will apply for the rest of my life. I realized that at any given moment, you're only one thought away. To understand what this even means, we first need to understand how the mind works. This is us. Somewhere in this thing, we exist. We perceive events, make decisions, and feel emotions, all from this mysterious seat at the top of our body. We can think of the mind like a melting pot of sensations and thoughts. Throughout our lives, we go through many experiences that change how we think, how we behave, and ultimately, who we are. But one thing never changes. Some people call it the stream of consciousness. Philosophers call it qualia, but I just call it the feeling of feeling. And what it feels like to be us is what we call the self. If you dig deep enough, eventually you hit bedrock, from which everything else stems from, all of our thoughts, emotions, perceptions, behavior. Without this fundamental component, we wouldn't know what it feels like to eat, to talk, to experience happiness, sadness, jealousy. We wouldn't even know what it felt like to exist. And throughout the day, we have thousands of thoughts. These can be influenced by our biology, social networks, our own psychology, the environment. The list goes on and on. But at any given moment, you're only aware of one thought. And notice how the thing that has these thoughts doesn't change. The experiencer. This feeling of feeling is the quality that connects all of our experiences. This is the foundational element of the mind, the capability to perceive. So this idea of one thought away is pretty simple. Because the mind is so interconnected, that means that every thought is connected to every other thought in one way or another. Sometimes we're aware of it, and other times we're fully consumed by it. It seems largely out of our control. But if you apply this philosophy, you realize that control isn't out of reach. This means that through awareness, you can guide your attention. In this sense, everything, and I mean everything, is literally one thought away from everything else. Because the thing that connects any thought to any other is you. And you are only one thought away. Now, you might be thinking, cool, so everything is one thought away from everything else because that's just how the mind works. That's a fun fact, but why does this matter? Well, that is more of a personal question. You need to reflect about who you want to be and what you want out of your experience of life. You can't immediately change your life, but you can always change your thoughts. If you can distance yourself from your thoughts, you won't serve them anymore and they can serve you instead. In psychology, this is called cognitive diffusion. It reminds you that you aren't your thoughts, you're the thing experiencing them. Thoughts are like clouds, and we are the sky. With this psychological distance, the thoughts you have won't dictate your internal state, and it becomes easier to navigate to where you want to go. And this mindset of one thought away is so powerful because it's true. If you want to climb a mountain, you must first walk. To walk, you need to put one foot in front of the other. The only thing that matters here is taking one step. And this isn't only about reaching goals. You're also one thought away from gratitude, one thought away from the present moment, one thought away from shifting your perspective on what's happening right now. So suddenly, these mountains aren't insurmountable anymore. All it takes is awareness. Awareness that you're only one thought away. Oftentimes, the hardest thing for us to do is to just start. If you rely on motivation to act, you can wait your whole life away. But with this idea, goals and responsibilities don't seem impossible anymore. Over the past few weeks, I've been implementing this idea into all different areas of my life: work, study, health, hobbies, relationships. And has my life completely changed? Externally, no. But internally, my experience of it has. Anytime I notice myself spiraling, I remind myself that I'm just one thought away, and I can deal with my distress. Just like physical training, this idea gets stronger the more you practice it, and each hurdle is an opportunity to refine your mindset. We all subconsciously know what we want. We just don't know how to get it. Realizing that action is only one thought away is the antidote to anxiety. Now, it's really important to understand what this philosophy actually means. It can be easy to dismiss truly hard circumstances by thinking that the solution is just one thought away, but that's not the message of this idea. This isn't a philosophy about ignoring or dismissing the reality of our situations. Terrible things can and do happen. And in these times, hearing cliches like "it gets better" or "be grateful for what you have" can be discouraging because it belittles how we feel. But if we can acknowledge this and realize that awareness isn't always a blessing and that it can also be a curse, it sets us free. The caveat here is that if you're only one thought away from any positive state, it means you're only one thought away from any negative state. The idea isn't to push away your negative thoughts, but to realize that you aren't your negative thoughts. They're just a small part of you. This philosophy doesn't dismiss the dark side of life, it embraces it. It acknowledges that outside events are out of our control, which sets us free. Instead of ignoring the reality of the situation, it understands it and it simply asks, what now? Whatever it is that we're dealing with, we sometimes feel lost in thought or overwhelmed by circumstance. Realizing that this awareness is only a thought away is true peace, because it means you are your own guide and you can never be lost. Thanks for watching.